No Child Left Behind Act was a bill created in 2002 where the government provided extra funding and educational programs. In return, the schools attested their students. Context before. President George W. Bush wanted equal learning opportunities for children who had certain disadvantages compared to their peers. He had implemented this act due to the states not annually testing their students and seeing the impact it had on the children. There was some testing in every state for English and math before NCLB was established, but weren't annually given and were compared against their peers rather than holding all students to the same standard. In 2002, only 9 states had required all students in grades 3rd through 8th to take an annual test in English, and only 7 did so with math. The center of the bill requires schools to develop and implement challenging academic standards in reading and math. Students were tested statewide in grades 3rd through 8th every year to keep track of their progress, once in grades 10 through 12. The schools have to come up with their own organized tests and make sure that they line up with the state's curriculum standards. Test results were made public on report cards, and they had to take into account of one's ethnicity, poverty, race, disability, and limited English proficiency. This effectively hid achievement gaps between groups of students. The goal was to level the playing field for students who are in poverty, minorities, students receiving special educational services, and those who speak and understand limited or no English. The schools had to bring all students up to proficient levels on tests. They had set targets on improvement, and then they got a result from the government on how they were performing.
Title I schools had to meet the AYP. If they didn't, the state would be able to change the leadership team or close the school down entirely. If the school had repeatedly failed to meet the AYP, then parents had the choice to move their child to another school. AYP goals were put in place to push schools to improve services and instruction for struggling students. Children with IEP and 504 plans were able to keep their accommodation for these statewide tests. Impact and legacy. This act had a major role on achieving academic progress. Students in schools that failed to make adequate progress 3 years in a row were offered educational services, including private tutoring. States were required to bring all students up to the proficient level on state tests by the 2013-14 school year. Individual schools had to meet the state adequate yearly progress targets towards this goal. Next, teacher qualifications. Beginning in the 2002-03 school year, all teachers hired with federal Title I money had to be highly qualified. By the end of 2005-06 school year, all school hired with Title I money must have completed at least 2 years of college, obtained an associate's degree or higher, or passed the evaluation to demonstrate knowledge and teaching ability. Also, the act led to a new competitive grant program called Reading First. This grant funded $1.2 million in 2004 to help states and districts set up scientific research-based reading programs for children in grades K through 3rd. It helps prepare 3 to 5-year-olds in disadvantaged areas to read. Finally, the No Child Left Behind Act ended and a new law replaced it called Every Student Succeeds Act.